Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be the next episode of my makeup and movies series where I'm just getting ready for the day with some new products, some tried and true products, while sharing all of my thoughts on the 6 films that I saw at the cinema in the last month. So today I have the holiday palette from Bobbi Brown. I have one of the new by Terry highlighters. I have a new Gucci blush shade and the Bobbi Brown holiday lipstick, and then I've got a new shade that I haven't shown on camera yet of the Armani bronzer, the slightly new, but I have already spoken about Charlotte Tilbury Exaggereyes mascara, latest Bobbi Brown foundation, and the Westman Atelier concealer, because I haven't picked up a new concealer since the last one of these videos. Where are the new concealers, people? We're waiting. So if you want to see these products in action and hear how I got on with these 6 films this month, then keep watching. Okay, so kicking us off, and I'm a little bit scared to talk about this. I did mention that I was going to see this film in my last episode of Makeup and Movies, and it is Beetle Juice. As I said when I spoke about watching the original in preparation for the, I guess it's a sequel, the new revamped version, I'm not a Beetle Juice girl. I'm so sorry. I feel like that's dangerous to say out loud because people are either Beetlejuice people or they're not. And if you are a big Beetlejuice kind of person, I feel like you won't accept any slander against it. I feel like I could be in danger for saying that it's not for me. I did prefer this new one to the original, which I guess if you're a Beetlejuice kind of person, you probably hate this new one because it is quite a step away. I feel the first one was just so random. And I was saying to someone the other day, I didn't even realize it had ended. I had no idea. It just suddenly the credits were showing and I was like, oh, it's finished. I feel like it didn't, have much of a sort of plot, a followable storyline. This one did actually have a bit more of a story that I could follow along, but it was still absolutely disgusting. It was very, very gross in many places, and that's just not for me. I don't find it funny. I know, again, some people think this is absolutely hilarious. I didn't find it that funny. It definitely made a bit more sense to me and was a bit more followable than the original, and it had like slight moments of like sense to it, whereas the original is just absolutely bonkers from start, middle to end. It's just too off the wall, it's too disgusting in many places, and the humour is just not for me. But I did laugh a couple of times. I found it more watchable than the original, and Catherine O'Hara got at least 2 points just for her very presence in this film. So for me, this was a 4. It's just not for me. It's not my kind of film. I don't understand it, but I didn't walk out either. And like I said, I did chuckle a couple of times. So it's a 4, mostly for Catherine. So we're starting off with this holiday palette, which I'm sorry, who forgot to tell me that Bobbi Brown are doing packaging this glorious? It's stunning. And the shades inside, I feel like they're so sort of festive and wintry, but New Year's party as well. So I'm just gonna use this matte shade to begin with. So it wasn't a great start film-wise. For me, I knew I wouldn't like it, so it is a bit of an unfair review because it's just not for me. But yeah, I feel like if you love the original, you're probably furious. Let me know if you love the original Beetlejuice. What did you think of the sequel? Because I thought, like, for me, it was more watchable, but for you, you probably hated it. Am I right? Let me know. But going from something that is absolutely not for me to something that is much more my cup of tea, next I saw Speak No Evil, and this I was really excited for. I'd seen the trailer for this several times, like when I was watching other films, and it had me pumped. So as usual, I don't want to give any spoilers to anyone who wants to see this film, so I'm just going to kind of share what it's kind of about without giving anything away that isn't sort of in the trailer. So essentially two couples meet. They're on holiday in Italy. One couple are British and the other couple are American, and they're very different people. The American couple are sort of very uptight helicopter parents. They both have children around the same age who start sort of playing together on holiday. But the British couple's son is non-verbal, and the American couple's daughter is verbal, no sort of learning differences. So their children start getting along, and they start getting along despite their big differences in their like personalities and all, their parenting. Certainly they get on like a house on fire, and they sort of, you know, chat every day on this holiday and have a great time. Oh, and I should say that the American couple are living in the UK, so when everybody goes home, they're living in the same country, and they reach out to each other and are like, oh, let's come and stay for a weekend, because the British couple own a farm. So the American couple are like, oh, let's go and stay with them. You know, we got along so well on holiday. Let's go and stay for a weekend at the farm. What could go wrong? Lots, plenty, in fact. So this film is a lesson, a masterclass. Take notice, Trap, from the previous episode, where in that film we spoke about how they literally gave the entire plot twist and pretty much the entire film away in the trailer. They fully ruined that film for me because I'd seen the trailer, and that was pretty much the whole film. This film is a masterclass in being able to create a trailer and an expectation and excitement for a film without literally giving anything away. I had no idea what was going to happen, the series of events, what the twists would be, what exactly was going on. I just knew that something was up. That was it, going into this film, and it managed to surprise me. There were so many sort of twists and turns and developments. It was one of the most tense feelings watching a film that I remember for a long time. I literally felt on the absolute edge of my seat. I'm pretty sure I was getting heart palpitations. It was just so tense. Even like from the very start, when everything is seemingly well, you just feel this like undercurrent of tension throughout this film. It was so intense, so clever. I flipping loved it. You just never really knew what's going on here and why and what's about to happen. James McAvoy, the performance of his life in this film, it was literally, he was so good. A very complex character with many different sort of sides, and I think he played every single one of them brilliantly. So creepy and odd, but actually in places it was really funny as well, you know, sometimes quite ironically, but I just absolutely loved it. James McAvoy certainly like made this film for me, but the children in this film are unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. This was a straight 10 out of 10 for me. My kind of film. Absolutely loved it. So intense, so tense. Never really knew exactly where it was going. Great twists and turns. And like I said, a masterclass in making a trailer really grip you and really make you want to see the film without giving anything away. Trap. This is what you should have done. Are you seeing this eyeshadow palette, by the way? So pretty. I didn't really know where I was going with this look today. I was literally just whacking every colour on my eye, and I'm not mad about it. I'm enjoying it. I feel like I can go all in because we had our harvest festival today, so I've already been to school. And it's absolutely hoofing rain here, so I don't have to worry about anyone looking at me like, what on earth, why does she look like she's going clubbing on the school run? Because no one's going to see my face. It's going to be under a hood and an umbrella. By the way, I apologise to anyone who was wanting me to use the new Pat McGrath holiday palette in this video. I think I'm just going to do like a 3 looks or a 5 looks with that palette separately, because a lot of you just want lots of looks, not just sort of one more, you know? So got to give the people what they want. So the next film that I saw this month was Lee, and this is Kate Winslet's sort of passion project. She stars as Lee Miller, who is an American photographer, very, very famous, very well known, well respected. game-changing photographer, became an acclaimed war correspondent for Vogue magazine during the Second World War. So it was sort of a biopic, I suppose, of Lee Miller's, the sort of peak of her career, I guess. Now, I'm not someone who's big into photographers or photography. I think, you know, I should be, because I have to work with camera technology every flipping day and I absolutely hate it. So I don't know anything about Lee Miller before this film. I went in fully blind, not knowing really anything about the storyline, just knowing that this was a Kate Winslet film and that it was about this acclaimed war correspondent. So it's not my usual kind of film. I don't really like historical films. I don't typically like biopics either. So this was very much like I had low expectations. But nonetheless, this was so beautifully told, this story. It was beautifully filmed, beautifully acted, really moving, heartbreakingly beautiful, moving story. And not just Lee Miller's stories, but many stories from that Second World War and behind the photographs that she so famously took. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it wasn't my kind of film. I kind of felt like it was a little slow in places, but at the same time, not without reason. You know, it kind of needed to feel a little slow, I suppose. But given that this is really not my genre, I really appreciated it. And I loved the little sort of, not really a twist, but the extra kind of bit at the end that I can't really tell you what I'm talking about without ruining the surprise. But it felt so moving, so beautiful, so personal, presumably because of how hard Kate Winslet worked on this film and the research and all of the work that went into the detail and just telling Lee's story. I felt like it was really beautiful and I was really able to appreciate, despite it just not being my sort of kind of film. So for me, this was a 9. Okay, I'm not going to mark a film down because it's not my cup of tea. It was a 9 because it was beautifully done in the genre and I think they did a great job. The acting, by the way, I was not expecting Jake from Brooklyn Nine-Nine to turn up. I found that slightly distracting because I fully expected him to just be making jokes, and his character was kind of like naturally amusing, but that threw me slightly. I was like, 9-9! And that wasn't in keeping with the film. But that was a me thing, a me problem. Okay, I'm very easily distracted. The next film was my first experience of a scream unseen. So if you don't know what a scream unseen is, and I'm assuming most people wouldn't, so this is where the Odeon put on films that you don't know what they're going to be before, like ahead of their release. So you go in blind, okay? You go in completely blind. They do give some blues clues. They give you some blues clues so that you can usually work it out. I can't because I'm not like, I love film and cinema, but I'm not someone who sort of deeply like learns about directors' backgrounds, their youth, you know, where they grew up. I'm not someone who really researches that stuff. So the clues typically are things that I'm literally like, they go over my head. I have no idea what you're talking about, but there are forums where people who do know all about that stuff will immediately know and be able to work out what the film is. So if I'm going to go and see one of these, I will be all over that forum and making sure that I pretty much know what the film is going to be, because I don't want to walk out, you know. And if it's something I really don't want to see, especially as I'm usually going on my own, so it might be something I don't want to go to on my own if it's going to be too terrifying or something, or maybe it's like really, really sexy. I don't want to go to that on my own. I'll feel weird and creepy. So I do like to try and find out what the film is, and they've never sort of done one before that I've wanted to go to because they're always at night. And I don't love going to the cinema alone at night. So this time it was very much all over the forums. Everybody knew it was going to be Never Let Go. So I thought, I'm going to do it. Let's see. Is it good? Do I enjoy doing these scream unseens? And let's see whether it's worth me doing again and pushing myself out of my comfort zone. and I'm really glad I did. This is very much a divisive little number, I noticed. I really loved this. I really enjoyed it. I thought, again, the trailer did an excellent job of not giving anything away, and it felt like very much a bit like a Shyamalan film. I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me it was a Shyamalan film, and I do love a Shyamalan film. Rarely does that man make a bad film. So I did think and expect that I would like it. Also, Halle Berry, who doesn't want 2 hours of Halle Berry? You know what I'm saying? So I was excited. I had high expectations. I had no idea going in what this was going to be about. What's the twist? Very little information from the trailer. But what it's essentially about is a mother who's living in the middle of a forest with her 2 children in like a sort of small wooden home alone, miles from anywhere, miles from anyone. And it appears from the sort of nuggets of information you get that there's been some kind of like end of the world situation, and that's how come they're living out and she's keeping her children safe in this log cabin type of home. And again, without giving anything away that's not just sort of in the trailers and in the release info, there is a rope attached to the house, and essentially that's as far as they're allowed to go. So they hold onto the rope and they can, you know, go out into the woods and sort of look for food and things like that, but they're not allowed to let go of the rope. That's where the never let go from the title comes from. So that's kind of the premise of the film, and then I can't really tell you any more than that without giving anything away. The whole film, it's like a is it not type of film. What's really going on here? Is it what they say or is it something else? What are we scared of? What is it? What's out there? What's happening? We don't know. It's very much a psychological thriller, which is my absolute all-time favorite kind of film. Like I said, really loved it. I really enjoyed this. I thought Halle Berry and the children in it were excellent. You know, I loved the little sort of snippets that we got of backstory and sort of how, you know, they found themselves in this situation and all of that I love. I love a little bit of background, you know, makes me happy. But I will say, as I was walking out, pretty happy with the film, having enjoyed it and, you know, been really happy with the performance, the storyline, etc. I wasn't super duper happy with the ending, I will say that. But I literally heard several people as I was walking out berating this film who hated it. And I have seen a lot of that feeling online. So I think I liked it more than a lot of people did. It seems like it was very much a love-hate. Lots of people hated it. Lots of people loved it. I'm in camp love. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm going to take a couple of marks off for the ending because it was unsatisfying to me personally. So for me, this was an 8, but I really enjoyed it. I will say lots of people didn't. So it's not like a guaranteed love. Everybody who sees this loves it because, like I said, as I was walking out, I could hear people who did not like it at all. Next up, we have Critic. So this starred Sir Ian McKellen, or as he's known in this house, Gandalf. So he plays a London theatre critic. So he works for a sort of really big newspaper and he goes and watches plays and then writes a column on the actors and the play itself. And he is extremely brutal, cruel, extremely harsh and very powerful on like the London circuit. It's also, I'm not 100% sure what era this was set in, maybe like the 50s, I would say. And he is gay, living with his partner, but having to keep it very hush hush. And although it's kind of a very badly kept secret, you know, it's not in an era where he can be openly himself. So he's very much sort of keeping his sexuality quiet. And essentially it turns out during this time that he may lose his job. The paper is struggling financially. He's not popular with the new sort of big dogs who run the paper. And so he's very much sort of feeling worried for his future at the paper, and they're kind of using his like sexuality and his behavior outside of his job to potentially get rid of him. And that's kind of the premise of the film. But it takes a very, very sharp left quite quickly into the film. And I was not expecting it. Again, a great trailer, although was it? Because it didn't really get me excited to see it. Having seen the trailer, I was like, It seemed like a yawn fest, if I'm being completely honest. I wasn't sure in any way, shape or form that I was going to enjoy this film. It was literally just the only option to see. I would never have seen this if anything else had been on that I, particularly was excited for, but there was just nothing else on that day. So I thought, sure, I'll go and watch it. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. Very suspenseful, twists and turns throughout. Of course, Ciarán McKellen is an incredible actor, and I feel like he held this film up. It could have been a lot worse and a lot more of a snooze fest than it was. I mean, it definitely got extremely far-fetched in places. You just thought, wow, we've gone down this lane and we're not turning back. We're committed to it. And it just got a little far-fetched, a little outrageous. And like I said earlier, Ciarán McKellen being, as far as I can tell, I've never met him, okay? So I could be wrong, but he seems like a pretty sharp character in real life, and very much like this felt like this is, I imagine, a lot of people's experience of him in real life. So that was hard, because being like the main character, it felt like you felt a little disconnected, because you're not rooting for this person, okay? He's not a nice person that we're all really rooting for. Like, I wanted him to be taken down, okay? He wasn't a nice man. So that in films I always struggle with. Like, I want to root for someone. I want to root for the protagonist. I want to have someone, like characters I'm invested in. And the actress that he forms, I was going to say a friendship, but it's more like a frenemy situation with, like, her I was rooting for. Okay, her I was rooting for, so that's fine. It was dark in places, it was really sad in lots of places, and yeah, it was just kind of okay. It felt like a little bit all over the place. The storyline, like I said, felt like we've gone a little bit too far down this path of madness, and there's no return. But I enjoyed it. It was quite funny in places, really unpredictable, like to the point where I thought, wow, that definitely wouldn't have happened. Like, almost too unpredictable, There were also some pretty gaping holes in the character development / plot line at times that I felt like didn't quite add up. And literally almost every character in this film was an absolutely unlikable rotter. Okay, everybody in it was a selfish, out for themselves, little rotbag and a scoundrel. And so there, it's kind of hard to know what you want the outcome to be, who you're rooting for, because you don't want to root for anybody. Okay, you want them all to go down. But again, that's a choice. That's an artistic choice, I suppose. So this for me was a 6. I enjoyed it for the most part. Hard to root for anyone, hard to connect to anyone. Got definitely a little too far-fetched in some places, but overall entertaining. I was entertained. And the final film that I want to talk about today, that I saw last week, and I actually managed to drag my husband to because it was on nice and early, is the new Joker film. So this is the sequel to the 2019 Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix, I'm definitely saying that loosely wrong, and Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. So I don't know if I've seen the 2019 Joker. I feel like I have, but I'm not a huge DC kind of girl, okay? That's definitely not my sort of genre, but it is one of the sort of superhero type of film that I do like more than, say, I don't know, like the other ones. It's one of my like least hated superhero / villain category people. Can you tell I don't know anything about it? Probably. So what I didn't know going into this film was that it was a musical. I didn't see that coming. I should have guessed because it has Lady Gaga in it. And I don't know if maybe during the trailer I did know that there would be some singing, but I don't think I realised quite how much singing there would be. And I will say musicals are probably like one of my least favorite genres of all time. I can't stand a musical. I hate it. You know, when Grey's Anatomy do those like musical episodes, I literally don't, I fast forward them. I can't cope with it. I can't stand a musical. I'm so sorry. So there was definitely a lot of singing in this one for my liking, for my taste. So that wasn't great. It was bonkers. It was bonkers. Bonkers, as you would expect. You know, Joker is bonkers. He's literally clinically insane, as is Harley Quinn. So yeah, I will say there was a lot of absolute madness in this film, but I found it so quietly funny. I think it was intended to be. I'm not 100% confidently sure that all of the humour was intended, but I was chuckling throughout this. I find Joker in that real villainous way to just be really entertaining. Like, his madness is like, he's a joker. He's hilarious. I also, as a media studies student, found some of the scenes of this film so visually, like cinematically glorious. The scene, you'll know what I'm talking about if you look for these types of things like I do in films, where the guards walk the Joker outside in part of the prison, and you see the umbrellas. It's pouring with rain. You see the umbrellas from above, and it's all like black and white with the coloured umbrellas. Oh, I mean, that's the sort of thing that just really gets my blood pumping. I love that. So was it unhinged? Yes, it was definitely unhinged. That's the number one word that I would use. I've lost my brush. That's the number one word. If you ask me to describe this film in one word, unhinged is the word. Okay, it was bonkers. It was messy. It was all over the place, but I thought the leads were great, like just the right amount of madness. But this film really, like the opposite of Critic. We're talking about two absolute stark raving loony psycho killers in this film, and yet you're really rooting for them. You're really cheering them on, and that in itself is quite alarming, you know. I posted about this highlighter from By Terry on my Instagram, and I just can't, there is no way to do this justice. It's one of the single most stunning pieces of makeup I've ever seen, outside and in. So I chose the pink shade. This is the shade Fairy Flirt, which obviously for a highlighter is a little too dark for me, but I wanted to be able to use this as like a highlighting blush. There is a lighter shade that would be better for my skin tone as a highlighter, and there's also a deeper sort of bronzy shade, but I wanted this to be like a highlighting blush, so I went for the coral shade, and it's so hard to touch it because it's so beautiful. So you can see there, I mean, in summer this would be a highlighter on me, but right now it's going to be a sort of subtle highlighting blush. I'm going to do this on one cheek and the Gucci blush on the other. Oh, do you know what, maybe I can use this as a highlighter. It's definitely quite subtle. If I left it at one layer, I think I could. So I will say, my husband, who's not so much of a film buff as me, I could tell he was like, it was a little slow and it was a little long. I think it was like, yeah, 2.5 hours long. It definitely shouldn't have been more than 2. I feel like that's 2.5 hours. It has to be a really epic film to justify that, and I just don't think it did. It felt long and it dragged in a couple of places. So yeah, for me, it was okay. It could have been so much better. I thought it was visually stunning. I love those little touches. Very subtly amusing in lots of places. I did giggle many times, but not many other people were giggling. So I don't know, maybe that was just me. I'm amused by insanity, apparently. That is so subtle and pretty, subtly glorious, beautiful. Something as well about this character, the Joker character particularly, but Harley as well, it's just, I find him, he's so tragic. He's such a tragic character, isn't he? And I feel like you really felt the darkness of his character in this film. That was really clear and evident, and I feel like it therefore felt really depressing of a watch. So this for me was a 7. I feel like I said it could have been a lot better than it was, but I still enjoyed it. As I said, I laughed in places. I appreciated a lot of the cinematic touches. Strong solid 7. Could have done without like at least 3 of the songs. Okay, so this blush from Gucci, I will say the name Intense Ruby, I feel like it's not intense enough to justify that name. Like, I used quite a heavy hand here and it's not that intense. Here is the By Terry side and here is the Gucci side. Lovely. I do love the finish of these blushes though. Just that soft luminosity. Let's swatch these two next to each other. Do you see what I mean? Intense. I'm not sure that seems appropriate. You can see the finish of the By Terry is so much glowier. The Gucci has that soft, subtle sheen to it. Gorgeous. I feel like my cheeks don't necessarily look like they've got 2 completely different products on, or do they? I don't know. You tell me. So next on my list, I'm sure I'm going to be dragged to a couple of children's films this month. I did not see any like family kid films this month. There wasn't really anything for my kids to see. I would never have taken my children to see Beetle Juice. Like, that would have like traumatized them for sure. But I have seen some spine tingling trailers recently. You know already I've been speaking about Scream 2. I cannot wait to see that. The first one was one of my all-time favourite sort of psychological thriller films. And there's rumours, there's a Scream Unseen, I think today or tomorrow. There's rumours that it could be Scream 2, but it could also be the Terrifier 3, which looks horrendous. So I won't be going to see that if it's the Terrifier. If it is Scream 2, then I will definitely go and see that because I cannot wait to see it. It looks amazing. I have also seen a trailer for Heretic, which stars Hugh Grant in another terrifying role by the looks of things. I flipping love. Hugh Grant wasted like the best years of his career playing, like being in rom-coms and Bridget Jonesing around, when he should have been doing serial killer films. He plays those roles so well. Like, he terrifies me when he's in that sort of role. I think he's like excellent at sort of doing the like creepy split personality type of roles. I cannot wait to see Heretic. It looks brilliant, really gripping and terrifying. That's high up my next on the list as soon as it comes out. The Monkey, which is based on a Stephen King short story. I don't know, Stephen King films, they just very rarely work out as well as the books, do they? And the trailer wasn't giving much away other than there being a lot of blood in it. So I'm not sure how that will go, but I would give it a chance. And there are a lot of great children's films coming out soon. My children are absolutely beside themselves to see Paddington, the new Paddington film. It's not out yet, but coming soon. And I think that's pretty much it for my hot on my list of films to see next. This packaging, I mean, I spoke about the eyeshadow packaging. This is stunning and it feels so luxurious as well. These would make beautiful gifts. This lipstick is Parisian red. And again, the packaging is gorgeous. Can you see the detail? Absolutely stunning. Wow, that is a pretty red. I think I was expecting this to be a matte, but it's their, just as their Luxe lipstick, which is a satin formula. Really pretty red. Perfect for Christmas. I would say this colour, this look is a little unbalanced, I will say. I'm absolutely loving this eyeshadow palette. I don't think I had like barely a speck of fallout to be seen, and such pretty colours. Really easy to work with, really enjoyed the mattes. Actually, do you know what I didn't do that I should do is highlight my brow bone, because I didn't use this sort of creamy shade and I'm quite intrigued. Oh yes, it's perfect. Perfect brow arch shade there. Love that. So yeah, I pretty much now have used that whole palette. I think I didn't use this shade, but otherwise I used everything in here, and Bobbi Brown are really making a comeback into my heart this year. What do you guys think of the finished look? I know it's a little muddled, a little mismatched, but I think individually, looking at each bit, we've got a lot of gorgeous products today. Maybe they just shouldn't have all been worn together at the same time. Okay, so there you have it. Now I have already reviewed the Bobbi Brown foundation. I really enjoy it. I think it's beautiful. I have also already reviewed the Westman Atelier concealer. Nothing has changed my thoughts on those. This eyeshadow palette from Bobbi Brown is such a flipping dark horse. The packaging, I keep on saying it, I can't say it enough. It's outrageously beautiful, absolutely stunning. And the shadows are gorgeous, really high quality. This is made in Italy, this palette, and you really can tell the quality is stunning. These shimmers are gorgeous, and I think it's like a very wearable color story without being like too colorful and intimidating to wear if you're a bit scared of color. I think it's perfect for like the holiday season, and the look I came up with today I really enjoyed, and using almost all of the shadows in there wasn't a dud. Mattes blended beautifully, shimmers gave me the kapow and the impact that I seek, not a lot of fallout, gorgeous pigment, beautiful, creamy, blended like a dream. The By Terry highlighter, I think this packaging and the product are, like I said, one of the, if not the most beautiful single pieces of makeup that I have ever seen in all of my life. I think on the skin, it's a really pretty highlighting blush on me, this specific shade. I think if I was to use a shade just as a highlighter, the lightest shade, it probably would be a little too subtle for me because it's not super glowing. It's like barely there, which I love as a highlighting blush, but I feel like as a highlighter, I probably would like something just a little more reflective. The Gucci blush is a pretty blush. I like the packaging for holiday, very festive. I don't think it's like breathtakingly beautiful. As far as a blush, I don't think it's wildly different. I feel like they've got several shades that are quite similar to this, and I would have liked something a bit different. The other shade that they released in this little mini sort of holiday collection from Gucci was the really light peach, and that was just not going to show up enough on me. So I do feel like I wish we had had a few more shades, because I do love this formula. I like this packaging very much, but nothing shade wise is like wow, or something that we don't have a lot of. This lipstick I really like as well. I think the red, it's a beautiful classic red, perfect for Christmas, and it feels so nice and hydrating on the lips. I love the amount of shine as well. And again, this packaging, such beautiful sort of giftable products. But there you have it. Those are all of my thoughts on these films that I saw in the last month. Please let me know if you saw any of these films. What were your thoughts? Were they very different to mine? Are you a huge Beetle Juice fan? Please let me know what you thought of the second Beetle Juice. Did you hate it? Did it really let you down? Or did you love and appreciate it as a fan of the original? Please let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.